Hey, BR Tidwell 55 here. Uh, if you've been, if you're a subscriber, you follow my videos, you might have noticed I've been having a conversation with Show That Sucks, and it has kind of taken off in various different directions, and I've actually enjoyed it, and I want to keep a conversation going. But I'm not posting this as a response to his videos because I want other folks, and Show That Sucks is more than welcome to respond to this, but I want, I don't want people to think that this is just me and his thing. It's open to everyone, so consider this the start of a new thread. If this were an text-based discussion board, consider this a new thread, okay? But it is kind of related to something he said. He was talking about differences between Linux distributions, and he talked about, and he kind of narrowed it down where he kind of showed that there's really not as many different Linux distros out there as you think, and he's right about that. And really, the distros that are out there, there's not as much difference between distros as you might think, and here's what I mean. The way Linux distros typically get spun up these days is someone will take an existing Linux distribution and that they like. They'll tweak it and they'll make improvements to it to suit themselves, and then they'll spin it out and they'll release it. They might put a different desktop environment on it, or change the different default software packages that are involved with it, or maybe tweak the existing desktop environment. Anyway, and they'll release it. They'll put it up on SourceForge or Google Code or various other places. DistroWatch, whatever. Maybe they'll put up a website and a couple of they'll submit it to they'll put up a website, or throwing on a couple of mirrors out there, invite people to download it and try it out, and that's how that's kind of how it works. And I did a video way back on where basically I argued that there are only really three main families of modern English language Linux distributions. You got your Debian family, you got your Red Hat family, and you got your Slackware family. And the vast majority of modern distributions that are out there will fall in one of those three families. There's some other ones. There's some outliers, like Arch Linux is kind of its own thing, and a couple of others. Arch is fairly popular. But by and large, most distros are either going to be Debian-based, Slackware-based, or Red Hat-based. And depending on the family that they're in, like take Ubuntu and Linux Mint. Okay, Ubuntu is derived from Debian, Linux Mint is derived from Ubuntu. Okay, the main differences between Linux Mint and Ubuntu: Linux Mint out of the box, on a default install, will include most of the multimedia codecs that are in the Ubuntu restricted extras repository. Okay, they've taken the GNOME desktop and they've tweaked it and added added a few things that the folks that maintain Linux Mint think make their distro a little bit more user friendly. But when you strip all that away, they both use the same file system, ext4. They both use the same directory structure, in that most of your like desktop settings and everything you're going to find in the /etc folder. Most of your programs are going to get installed and have configuration files in the /usr /share directory. Okay, and that is common across Debian-based distributions. They both use the same package manager. They both both use apt. They both use Debian. They both can use .deb style packages. Other distros, like some of your Red Hat based, or most of your Red Hat based distros, are going to use like CentOS, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Fedora, or I think it's Fedora Core now. Are going to use RPM packages, and all a package manager is it is a program that resolves dependencies and installs programs on a Linux system. Most Debian-based systems use deb packages, and they use apt-get and Synaptic as a graphical front end. Exception to that is PC Linux OS. PC Linux OS, Mandriva based, which is ultimately Red Hat based, but PC Linux OS uses apt-get and Synaptic, and I think somehow, some way, it still installs RPMs, but it uses Synaptic and apt-get to do it. So, you know, that's just what I know from what little bit I've played around with PC Linux OS. Most of your Slackware-based distros use just straight-up old-school tarballs, and most of your Slackware-based distros don't have any elaborate package management or automated way to resolve dependencies. They depend upon the user being smart enough to resolve dependencies on their own, which makes for a very clean and a very efficient system, but it really relies on a really Linux smart user or administrator to be able to do it. It's you know, in the different families, you know, I told you, like, you want to configure at least on a Debian-based system, you want to configure what is it, the Windows file networking Samba. You want to configure Samba. You're going to find that configuration file in /etc/samba/smb.conf. Okay, and that's in just about any Debian-based distro. So there's not as much difference between distros as what you might think. And that's my 2 cents worth. And please, I am by no means an expert on this. And if, you know, I'm still learning it myself. I learn something new every day. But if someone knows more and can talk a little bit more about how the way they see it, please post a video response. Make us all smarter. And if I've said something that's completely out of my butt, then call me on it. You know, I've got a thick skin. So, BR Tidwell 55, and thanks for watching.